these kids aren't playing hard, man. There's about, like I can name some teams. Like if you watch Oregon State play football, those guys play hard. They do. On both sides of the ball, they play hard. If you watch, like I watched the Arizona-Mississippi State game the other night. Arizona's defense, dude, they're not overly talented, but they try to knock your ass out every play. They play so hard, so much above what their talent level is. There are not many teams, and there's not many in this league. Matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't seen any team in this league that I went, man, those guys are playing hard. You got to strain. Like I always would tell my guys, and it's a joke, I really didn't mean this, but I'd be like, I want you cramping after 30 snaps. I want you playing that hard that after 30 snaps you're cramping. Obviously, I was being a little hyperbolic.
Right, sure.
They get the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids aren't playing hard. The game is not being played hard. You see people loaf damn near every play. In the Alabama-Texas game the other night, it's supposed to be the two dudes of dudes, there were people loafing on both sides of the ball.
What do you attribute that to?
I think the coaches are scared shitless to coach these kids hard because they're going to go in the portal.
Oh, yeah.
That's what my last point is. I think coaches are too worried that if they get on a kid and if they ride them, they're going to get in the portal. I think that's what is contributing to some of this. And some of these kids, I know Greg McElroy said it this morning, and he's right. He's like, hey, they're getting paid too. You know, they're getting theirs. Mm-hmm. And I think NIL in a combination with them not being able to coach kids hard and hold them accountable. Because here's what happened, right? If your ass didn't play hard, you know what happened to you? Your ass went and sat. I'll find somebody that wants to play hard. The only thing you can take away from kids to really get them to respond,
playing time.
Is playing time. That's what they're, well, we can call it what we want to call it. That's what you take away from them. If you really want to sting, if you want to hold a kid accountable, you take away their playing time. Well, in the world that we're in today, if you take away their playing time, they're going to hit the easy button and shoot the deuce.
A lot of them, yeah.
Okay, and so sure. Coaches, which you and I have talked about this ad nauseum on this show, 106 episodes in. Coaches are now turning into being their friend and their buddy and not their coach because they are scared shitless that they're going to leave. And look, I have, when you're put in a position, I've had this happen one time. When you're put in a position to have to play somebody when they really, they need to be sitting on the bench, it creates an entire, the benefit of them going in the game. Maybe they're a cancer. Maybe it
emasculates you as a coach.
And it kills the chemistry in your room.
Well, the power dynamic changes.
And you can't hold the young ones accountable.
The power dynamic changes.
Correct.
And the young guys see that, hey, you can get away with this. And so they go, okay. As opposed to in the old days, right? I mean, I'm sounding like an old man, but it wasn't that long ago where, hey, man, this is just the way you have to do it here. Like I used to always hear this about Alabama. You bought into the process. You signed up, you bought in, you followed the process, you followed the program, and the program produced two things, wins and NFL players.
Hey, I won't go to the –
But now maybe the process has changed.
Yeah.
Maybe now, like the other day, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. You've been inside that building. I don't want to pick on the kid. I don't want to make it a bigger deal than it is. Because, look, once the game's over, the game's over. You can't go change the outcome of the game. Once it's done, it's done.
No time machine.
I think he was a tight end. He'd caught a touchdown pass in the game for Alabama. They lost to Texas. Wasn't that long after the game. I think he's on Instagram Live. Maybe he was on something. I don't know. Whatever. Some sort of social. And he's kind of dancing and talking about his followers and all that stuff. Hey, look at how many people are in here and all that stuff. And people in the thread are going, you just lost, man. You just lost. And he's like laughing about it.
That's the problem, right?
So I'm curious, what's the reaction to that inside the coach's room at Alabama? It can't be, hey, this is awesome.
Oh, well, no, it's not awesome. I mean, that's the shit that can't go on. Okay? That tells me and I did not see that. That's the first time I've heard that. All right? That tells me that he doesn't give a shit, which goes back to the point. They're getting theirs. They're good. It's all about me, 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 me. And I've said this on the show, and it pisses me off, man. Once you've worked there, and look, I love Coach Saban. I do. He has meant the world to me. What he's done for my career and what I learned from him, I can't stand that this is going on while he's the coach. I can't. It bothers me because he doesn't deserve it. That's not the program that he runs. And everybody that's ever worked there, and everybody I've seen former players speak up this week. There's a standard at that fucking place, man. There's a standard. It's different, okay? And I'm sorry if you're a fan of another school, okay? I didn't work there, but if anywhere I've ever worked, there is a standard.
Well, you don't win like they've done for the last, what's it been, 16 years? You don't win like that without there being a standard.
And it's a disgrace.
But my point is, and what I'm asking you is, in your opinion, you know what the reaction to that would have been in the older days. Here we are in this modern era where you got to be careful. Right? You rail somebody for what they did. They can jump in the portal and bolt. Is that standard in this era, is that standard maintainable?
I don't think so.
I'm asking.
I don't think so. I don't. But the thing that pisses I did not even hear about that. I'm today years old and I heard about that.
Okay.
But that pisses me off that occurred because look, I put everybody that's ever worked there, you put your life to maintain that standard.
Mm-hmm.
And people leave and go. Lane Kiffin was there he put his life in it to maintain that standard.
Yeah.
When you go there, your job is to keep the fucking trains on the track. And to have that shit go on, that pisses me off. It really does.
I know.
Now, when Nick leaves, that's on somebody else.
I was genuinely curious about what you thought.
That pisses me off really bad. That you don't care enough about you're part of that. You gotta stand up and do what's right. And that's bullshit. That legitly pisses me off.
Because I'm gonna be honest, I saw it and I thought, on one hand, well, the game's over. What do you do? And on the other hand, I went, you just got beat in Tuscaloosa. That was only the second time since Nick Saban joined the SEC. A trivia question. Since Nick Saban joined the SEC, he's lost by double digits at home twice. Saturday night to Texas. Can you guess the other one?
Double digits at home?
Double digits at home.
Are you going to say Monroe?
No. That was single digits.
Was it LSU in 19?
No. It was LSU, but it was not 19.
I don't know. What year?
He was the head coach at LSU in 2003.
Oh, no, I was thinking Alabama.
No, Nick Saban since he joined the SEC.
I didn't know that.
Lost to Florida at home in 2000. I covered it. Chris Leak had a day. It was the day that Aramis Ramirez hit a grand slam to put the Cubs a win away from the World Series in 2003. They did not get there for another 13 years. It's been that long since Alabama or Nick Saban as an SEC head coach lost by double digits at home. At home. How about that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so that happens, and your reaction inside the building is, at least with one person, is, oh, well, hey, I got mine. Look at my followers. That's the difference. And I think it's a cultural thing that makes it harder to maintain. I'm not saying, look, I will never be the guy that counts Nick Saban out. Nope, not doing it. But it's harder. It's going to be harder for him to put the train back on the tracks than it's been in the past. And that makes it where I go, I don't know. I covered Ole Miss with my day job. And last year, the moment they hit adversity, off the tracks. And people do hey, it was the Lane Kiffin to Auburn thing. You know what? I've talked to a lot of players who tell me that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Nope. It was they hit adversity and guys just kind of went, hey, I got to think about what's best for me. I'm worried about me.
Yeah.
They weren't worried about team anymore. Once they lost to Alabama and they weren't going to the playoff, they weren't going to the championship game, smoked in Fayetteville. Defeated by a Mississippi State team that was not as good as them, and then just really got kind of pounded in the Texas Bowl by Texas Tech. Okay, those are results. I think to pin all of that on, well, Lane Kiffin was distracted because it was Auburn. Come on, stop. It was player related. He couldn't, and this isn't a knock on Lane any more than it's a knock on Nick Saban. He couldn't get those guys back.
No, I mean. And I'm going to go to the Cooper Chevrolet chat here, but GJG23 brought up a minute ago. He says, this doesn't look like a problem at Colorado. Well, let me explain something. he also brought in 80-something new kids. When we see what's going on in North Carolina right now, when you bring in a kid and he can't go anywhere else,
yeah,
you can coach those guys hard. But the dynamic I would struggle with, just to be honest with you, my coaching style is I treated every single one the same, right? I think you could probably still coach the kids that have already transferred to you harder because they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But then you would have to turn around and put kid gloves around the.
But a lot of them are only there for the money. See,
right?
They're only there. They came because you were the highest bidder. They came to you because you were you were the highest bidder in free agency. They didn't grow up in your minor league system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at the Braves. You're a big Braves fan.
I am.
How many homegrown talents are on that team? Guys who've known each other for a long time. And before that, when they won, Dansby Swanson, Freddie Freeman, those guys, those were Braves.
Yeah.
Those were guys who basically, I mean, Swanson, I know, was drafted by the Diamondbacks, but he was traded to the Braves system very quickly. You've got Swanson, Freeman, those guys. That's all. Look where they've gone. Freddie Freeman's a huge part of what's happening in Los Angeles. Dansby Swanson's a huge part of what's happening in Chicago, right? But they went to those places and they've instituted that same thing. The Braves, all their success is built around a culture that's been built inside the franchise.